everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
where we, a couple of atheists, try to make sense of religion, politics, and current events here in these crazy United States of America.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking about an upcoming holiday.
An event.
A super exciting event of Easter.
It's the most Easter time of the year.
And how it's sort of a perplexing holiday.
Yeah.
It's just a melange of
Let's just
things.
admit it.
Yeah.
Christians do it wrong.
Yeah.
They are literally wrong about how they do it. And they should be ashamed of themselves.
And we're going to tell them how they should be doing it.
Yes.
And if they had any smarts, they would listen to us. But they don't. Whatever. That's fine. All right, Dan. Well, I guess before we get to that, we should share some stories with each other. Some things that we found this week.
Yeah.
That weren't the other news of the week.
Oh yeah. We're not
steering
getting into
clear.
any of that. You are safe from that. As a
Oh,
matter of
yeah.
fact,
Let's take a
I
break.
feel like I can commit to not pronouncing any of the names that we're all very sick of hearing right now.
Yeah. We're going to stay away from that. Instead, we're going to be talking about things like this story, Dan, where there's some new research at American Christians and sort of their beliefs, right?
Okay.
What does it mean? Like, what do Christians believe in? What is the nature of God for these people, in fact? And apparently, only a very small number of them actually believe in the Trinity, which is kind of weird because
They're Unitarians. They're Unitarians.
Well, there are the Unitarians. And yeah, they're one of the groups that are not.
No, but what I'm saying is if you're not a Trinitarian,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
then you're a Unitarian. That's what that word originally meant.
Right. And there are Christian groups like the UUs who used to believe in Jesus and God and everything, and now they don't really care. But like the Mormons famously are not a Trinity believing people.
Right.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in the Trinity, and there's a few others. But as far as like if you're Catholic or mainline Protestant or evangelical, you believe in the Trinity. This idea of like the 3 in 1, right? God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost.
They're different
Holy
people,
Spirit.
but they're the same.
Yeah, they're all part of one body, but they have different forms depending on what they do. I don't know. We didn't grow up with the Trinity. It is mind-boggling, right? If you didn't like, if you've never fully wrapped your head around the Trinity,
It makes zero sense.
it is an absurd concept of God, right?
Yeah.
Like the belief in God is absurd all on its own.
Well,
And then you come up with like the most bizarre concept.
Well,
for God.
it reeks of what it actually is, which is kind of a decision by committee of how to solve a problem.
It was a compromise, right?
Yeah. It was just like, how do we figure this out? And they were just like, and nobody really liked the Trinitarian idea. They were just like, I guess it technically solves the problem.
Yeah.
So, okay, ? I think it's amazing.
Yeah. So here are some of the interesting findings. As far as like, I believe this number is all adults, sort of the polling would show that all adults in America, right? That only 40% of all adults in America believe in the God of the Bible. Right. And I think because I'm reading this in a Christian publication that they actually mean the Trinity when they say that.
Which is so funny because the Trinity is not in the Bible.
I know.
It is contained in exactly 0 places in the Bible.
I have to say, their breakdown here, I can't fully figure out exactly what they mean by much of what they're reporting here.
Right.
But so there's this, that's what it says. All American adults, 40% believe in the God of the Bible.
Right.
And self-identified Christians, only 53% is what I'm reading here, right?
Okay.
Which is like insane that they don't believe in whatever this group's definition of God of the Bible is, which I think is, they're saying that it's the Trinity. They only 1 in 10 respondents believe in the Trinity. So help me parse this out. It says slightly more than 1 in 10 respondents, 11%, which would be 1 in 9, believe in the Trinity, that the God of the Bible is 3 distinct but separable and equal persons in one infinite being.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's what they're saying. So only 1 in 10 believe in the Trinity of Americans.
Because this is a Protestant country. This isn't as Catholic a country. And
the Protestants believe in the Trinity.
Some. I don't think all.
No, the vast majority, like the non-Trinitarian faiths are groups like the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and there's apparently a slice of Pentecostals, and historically the Unitarian Universalists, but again, they've whatever they are now. Yeah. Like we grew up not believing in it. So I think we have this like sense that, oh yeah, nobody really believes in the Trinity, but it is the mainline belief. It is the main Christian conception of God is the Trinity. Right. And what this study is showing, even if I can't really parse out the numbers, is that there's only a minority of American Christians that believe in the traditional Christian conception of God.
That's really interesting.
And the article is it's nothing but hand-wringing about how this has gone wrong. How have we failed in teaching people to believe this thing that naturally is something that people just can't wrap their head around.
Right.
This 3 in 1, 1 in 3, blah, blah, blah. It's just the most self-contradictory concept. Right.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful once you do wrap your head around it. It's just amazing.
It's truly magical.
But,
and I mean that in the literal sense, it's just magic thinking.
There's this really interesting number. Only 40% of respondents believe that God exists and affects people's lives, is what they're saying.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is the effect of a lot of people who are just Christians in the I do it for the because I want to be a part of the community thing.
Yeah. And they may also believe in God, right?
Right.
But nominally believe in God, right?
Yeah.
They have some, of course God exists, but they have no firm concept of what that means. They don't have a personal relationship, right? Which is super important to
They're not going to think about God when they're like trying to sort out their finances or whatever.
Right. Well, they may, right. But if they fall into hardship, they may think of prayer.
Sure.
But it's like, oh, please, God, help me. And then they start saying a whole bunch of things that actually probably don't really align with like how a Christian would pray typically. Right. And so it's just really interesting because like Christianity is really falling apart in the United States in particular, throughout the West. But, the United States, we're starting to really see it. Yeah. And it's fascinating how it's falling apart. All while there's the rise of Christian nationalism. but that's more a pendulum swing rather than something that hopefully will stick. So
my favorite thing about the Trinity is just all of the bad metaphors that they use to try and make it make sense.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Oh, it's like a shamrock. It's three parts of the same thing. It's like, yeah, but shamrocks aren't sentient. There's like that. What?
Yeah.
Or it's, it's like the states of matter. It's a solid, it's a liquid, it's a gas, it's all of them. And it's like, these are bad metaphors, man. You guys got to do a lot better than this.
Yeah, no. What are other things that have 3 in them?
Yeah, exactly.
That, we can, let's see.
That are the same but different.
It's like Neapolitan ice cream.
The Lord our God.
It's spumoni.
It's spumoni. Oh, in the name of the chocolate and the strawberry and the vanilla, amen. All right, I'm going to take us to one of our favorite places of late. A now recurring character on the show. I didn't want him to be, but he has now become he's become one of our main characters all of a sudden. Ryan Walters, the Oklahoma superintendent of public schools.
Yeah.
Who has been, this is the guy that was trying to buy thousands of Trump Bibles.
Yeah.
He's vying for some cabinet post that he'll never get. Anyway, but he's also, crazy Christian nationalist and yeah, just an all-around peach of a guy. And the latest in the saga of Ryan Walters is a lawsuit involving the FFRF.
Oh.
Now, we're used to hearing about the FFRF suing for various things, because we hear a lot of things about violations of church and state, and Ryan Walters is that's his favorite thing in the world to do, is violate the separation of church and
It's his raison d'etre.
It really is. But this is not that story. This story is different. He's suing them.
Oh.
Ryan Walters has decided that he's had it up to here with the FFRF and mainly their letters, because they don't do a lot of suing these days because our court system is fucked. But they do write lots of letters reminding what they'll do is they'll write, a letter to, for instance, a school district and just say, hey, you're not allowed to open every day of school with prayer. You can, here are some alternatives. You can have a moment of silence where each child can pray silently to themselves if they want to. And you're not allowed to have teachers lead prayers, and you're not allowed to have, you're not allowed to start the day with a scripture. But this is just friendly reminders or even unfriendly reminders that you're fucking breaking the law, that you're literally going against our U.S. Constitution.
Right.
So that's what they've been doing. And boy, is he just pissed about it. This man has a bee in his jockey shorts. So he sued.
Oh.
He has filed a lawsuit against the FFRF, literally for writing letters. That is literally what he is pissed about. He is claiming that it is infringing on the rights of students and teachers to practice their faith. By writing these letters, reminding the schools that they are acting in ways that do not comport with the Constitution of the United States. Which makes me want to write letters. I wouldn't have the money to defend myself in a lawsuit, but I kind of want to try anyway.
I just say, hey there.
I think we should pepper the
Dan Beecher here.
Yeah.
TGIA Media.
To whom it may concern. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Oh, well, I mean, it is interesting that they can get as much done as they do get done.
Yeah.
that tactic. It
Yeah.
suggests that they've built themselves a nice little reputation.
And they're definitely good at raising ire.
Yeah.
He released a video just proudly declaring that he was going after these out of town atheists who are trying to prevent good students and teachers from being able to practice their religion.
Go away.
It's just very
Go away, Ryan Walter. When will this please end?
It's gonna be a minute.
Oh, God.
But in the meantime, shenanigans will ensue.
Fun. I love a good shenanigan.
Yeah. Everybody write him a letter. Write him all the letters. Can we all just write? I'm gonna look up an address for him at some point, and we can all just write Ryan Walter's letters.
Well, you know what? We should write a group letter to Ryan Walter. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan. Well, there's this whole thing going on right now that I think we promised we wouldn't talk about some of the bad shit that's going on in the world. Well, it's unavoidable, unfortunately. Mass deportations are happening from this country, in this country.
Yes. Yeah.
And it seems that Christians might have just realized who is being deported.
It's all illegals, right? It's just illegals.
It turns out that there's a lot of people who ascribe to their way of life. A whole bunch of Christians who've immigrated to the United States. And by their estimate, there are about 10 million Christians who might be deported. Sort of, and this is the point of the article, thereby watering down the sort of political power of the Christian movement, which I think is pretty remarkable. The article, I will say, is not totally that cynical in its presentation, but it's definitely that's definitely in there. They say roughly 1 in 12 Christians in the United States are at risk of deportation or live with somebody who is.
Right.
Which is kind of a remarkable number. Yeah.
That is,
when you look at, specifically just at evangelicals, it's about 1 in 18 evangelicals who are sort of in the same situation, either at risk of deportation or live with somebody who is.
I don't know if they know this, but like Latin America is largely Catholic. They are very, very Christian.
Yeah. So there was this let's see, the American Community Survey and Pew Research Center. That's numbers based on their research that show that about 11 million U.S. Christians are at risk of being deported. And let's see.
I mean, at this point, it's probably more than that, considering they're not actually paying attention to who they're deporting. They're just deporting first and asking questions about it later.
Yeah. This article asserts that the world's migrants are disproportionately Christian, it says. And demographers say, so this is the point. And this is in Christianity Today. So it says, this is their quote. Demographers say that they are helping stanch secularization in countries like the US and Canada. So that's an interesting perspective.
So their take is that it's these deportations are going to speed up
secularization.
The secularization.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I can support. I do not support deportations.
Okay, thank you.
But that,
it's interesting that they have zeroed in on this as being of concern to them.
Yeah,
right? And that they have identified this, and that it is putting them in the position of, because I mean, let's face it, who voted for Trump?
Yeah.
Right? Who voted? What voters were motivated by Trump's anti-immigrant message, right? Yeah. Largely the people sitting in the pews at these churches, and that Christianity Today is writing to, right? Like this is who they publish for, right?
Yeah.
Is essentially Trump voters.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, wait. Oops, what did we do here? Right.
Yeah.
And it's not the morality of the deportation that has caught their attention. Right. Not that moral question. Right.
No.
Not the morally deprived position that that Trump is in,
right,
and is promoting. So let's see. More than 75% of immigrants at risk of deportation to the U.S. are Christian, they say. And apparently there's kind of a big deal of people immigrating to the United States to be pastors to the immigrants who came here for specifically for work, right?
Right.
They're coming for work, but it's a different kind of work. They're coming here to be pastors. And basically, so they're saying that 1 in 4 Hispanic Protestant churches have pastors who could be deported. It's really remarkable.
Yeah. One wonders. No, never mind. I was going to say, would status as a pastor buy them anything? But I don't think it would.
No, I don't think it does.
It's literally like they're being so indiscriminate with their deportations and their arrests and whatever that like nothing could slow them down.
Yeah, the article specifically follows sort of the story of one pastor who from Venezuela who received notification that his status was being revoked and that he and his family needed to self-deport, right? Or else they would be deported.
That's nice that they weren't just arrested in the night and disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, apparently that has been part of the strategy, is sending out these mass messages.
Right.
And people are heeding the call. They are not going back to Venezuela. They say that's a non-starter. But they've figured out how to get to Italy. And so they're heading to Italy for the time being with the hopes of returning. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in this country.
Yeah.
So there's that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take us to New York, where a lawsuit was filed. I'm all lawsuits today. A lawsuit was filed by a Reverend Ebony Marshall Turman, who is an associate professor at Yale Divinity School, which is a pretty decent gig. But she was in line to be the head pastor, I don't remember what they call it. There's all these different titles and stuff. But at the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem. And this is a big church. This is an important church in Harlem. And she was kind of in line, but she was the only woman being considered. But she had been at the church for a long time. She was a sort of an associate pastor, and she was trying to be the head pastor. And they passed her over. And she realized that it was likely just gender discrimination.
Well, nobody wants a DEI hire, damn.
Right? At a traditionally black church. So she filed a lawsuit about it. And here's the thing, the judge has dismissed it and had to. Because the church basically said, this is a ministerial exception. The government doesn't get to be a part of our decision.
Yeah.
And they're basically right.
Yeah.
Like the law doesn't provide any sort of any protections for anybody within the ministry.
Right.
Because as the judge who made the ruling said, basically he just said if he had to rule on this rather than just dismiss the case, he would have to he would basically have to meddle in the inner workings of a religion. And judges don't want to do that.
No.
So
Wow. Well, that's nice. Churches
there
get
you
a
go.
they just they're just so special, aren't they?
She did point to an anti-discrimination statement that the church had posted
Oh.
to try and say, hey, you said you wouldn't discriminate, and now you have. But the judge just said this is basically a boilerplate statement, and nobody that puts those up actually means it, and there's nothing I can do.
Whatever. The judge didn't say that.
No, the judge said that it was insufficient
Right.
to show that the church was waiving its First Amendment rights under the ministerial exception.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
But I mean, read between the lines. You know?
Right. Right. Okay, very good. All right. Dan, the Catholic Church in Poland has been having some trouble lately.
Oh no.
They're
very big in Poland.
They're very big in Poland, but apparently people in Poland, Polish people, they're siding with their children over the church, which is maybe the right thing to do.
How dare they?
But a new report by the Polish government that came out this week, I think, last week, shows that members of the Catholic clergy were responsible for 30% of the child sex crimes committed between 2017 and 2020.
Yes.
1/3, basically, of child sex crimes in the country at the hands of Catholic priests and clergy and whatnot.
I feel like you're saying that like I'm supposed to be shocked. And I'm finding myself utterly unable to muster any amount of shock about
I
this.
find it shocking. I find it unbelievably shocking. Like, it's one of those things that once you hear it and it settles in, you're like, yeah, okay. I guess that makes sense. Right.
I just know how how much power the Catholic Church has in that country.
Yeah.
Like when I was there, I remember, like, as you're driving through the countryside, you just constantly see altars, and just in the middle of nowhere, there's an altar to a saint. There's an altar to or there's a picture of the Pope, but not the current Pope, Pope John Paul II.
Oh yeah, that's the only one that
Polish
matters
Pope
in Poland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had. Nationwide, there were 345 cases of pedocriminality. That's how it's phrased in this article, that were reported in that time period. And 100 of those cases were involved a member of the clergy in cases of a perpetrator of sexual assault on a child under the age of 15. The commission has forwarded 55 requests for indictments to the Polish judiciary. And there's a sense that this is also sort of just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak.
It always is.
Because, both inside, religious, organizations and out in sort of secular organizations, sexual abuse is underreported. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the church in particular has its strong motivations to underreport. But anyway, so it sounds like Poland is really trying to address this issue and is going after the perpetrators. However, one Catholic priest who's actually for this, he's all for this. These efforts. He's in support of the government doing this and rooting it out. But he came up with a rather disgusting metaphor. He says, in a country that is markedly right-wing with a strong presence of the church in the social fabric, and which is furthermore the birthplace of John Paul II, these revelations are a huge slap in the face. We must now lance the boil and clean it up.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where your mind goes. Maybe this is a Polish saying, that you have to lance the boil and clean it up.
I would like to see a literal interpretation of that where they literally pop priests that do this. They literally like stick needles in them until they burst.
Pop. I mean, it is actually like, though, if you think about it, it's a violent metaphor, right?
Yeah.
It is saying we have to deal with this surgically, I guess, right? Like we need to like get this done and clean up the ugly, awful mess that comes from it.
What was the parent part? The siding with their kids. It's just that people aren't.
Oh no, I was just sort of saying that in the sense of like, even though Poland is historically very Catholic, people are not really adhering to Catholicism. They're not letting the church bully them. They're not letting the church bullying them. Their numbers are dropping. The people are outraged at the church. Right.
Good.
Like their reaction is the right one, right? Yeah. It's here's this institution. It's really important to us, and historically really important to this people, but we don't care to try to protect this organization if it's going to protect people who are hurting our children, right? So fuck you. Let's go after these people. Indeed. And that's the right reaction. And it seems like in a lot of places, that becomes either politically difficult or it gets mired in this or that and blah, blah, blah. And the Poles just seem to be like, just fucking dealing with it. So good on them.
Good. All right. Well, I'm going to, since we're in Europe, I'll close us out in Ireland.
Oh.
This was sent in by a listener.
Another very Catholic place.
Yeah. It is a very Catholic place, except there's a sneaky bit of Catholicism happening.
Oh?
Yes.
Sneaky Catholicism? Sneaky. That's terrifying.
It is terrifying. There's been a warning by the Bishop of Derry in Ireland.
Mm.
And it's a warning that I've never heard before, and that is there is a secret society of Catholic priests. Yes,
oh,
Dan
no.
Brown, get ready. Called the Society of St. Pius X, that was founded in 1970 by a defrocked bishop who was reacting against Vatican II and the modernizing of the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And it became a kind of separatist movement where they would have so basically there's this shadow Catholicism that is happening in various parts of the world.
Oh.
And what's really funny is that the bishop is very concerned that people are going to this without knowing that it's not the real Catholics. It's the fake bad Catholics.
Is this like these groups that are still like doing mass in Latin and that kind of stuff?
I assume so. I mean, there are still real Catholics that also do mass in Latin. But yeah, apparently this SSPX, the Society of St. Pius X, they're like holding secret masses, and they're Catholicing all by themselves, and the other Catholic, the real Catholic Church is being very upset and very frightened by all of this.
Well, they should be.
I just think it's funny that like somebody is putting the Catholics in the position of being like, no, like they're too conservative. Don't be them. They're way too conservative, and so they're not Catholic enough.
Weird.
They're not liberal enough to be real Catholics. That feels crazy
liberal
to me.
enough.
Yeah. So anyway, watch out for the fake Catholics. They're everywhere. They walk amongst us, and I don't know, and you can't tell by looking at them.
Literally the stuff of nightmares, right there. Like
I'm
that.
gonna get a Catholic.
Rogue Catholics. That's terrifying.
I'm gonna get a priest outfit. I'm gonna get the shirt with the collar and everything, because they can't stop me.
Apparently not. Yeah,
there are no laws against. There's no like stolen valor laws for priests. You can just say you're a priest.
Yeah, unless, I don't know. Be careful what sort of rank you give yourself, Dan. And
listen,
like, don't wear any, like,
I was literally ordained a priest.
That is that's true.
in a major world religion.
In a minor world religion.
In a larger than
they like
many.
to think of themselves as major. They were a minor world religion.
Yeah. Well, a world religion.
Yeah.
One that everybody's heard of anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a weirdo one, and priest doesn't mean anything, but I was ordained a priest in it.
Well done, Dan.
You can't stop me from
saying that. Took a lot
of
hard work, Dan.
Oh, man. Turning 16 was rough. All right, friends. Well, if you would like to tell us about your shadow sect, pretend Catholicism, please feel free to write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or if you'd like to call and leave us a voicemail message, we'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank, we have a little bit of correspondence to deal with, so let me dive right into that.
Okay.
This is from Daniel, who writes in, "Hi, Frank and Dan. Sorry to hear about your state being stupid."
Oh,
Which part? Our state is stupid in so many ways these days. It makes sense for them being the fuckwits in charge, to ban anything that won't conform to their brand. They can't control or if they can't control or commodify something, it'll have to be banned. This was a reference, I believe, to pride flags being banned in our schools. And stuff.
I was like, okay, this could be any number
fluoride
of
in the water.
Things. Yeah,
it could be any number of things.
Okay, so
Utah's really making waves with their banning of things. So
banning the pride flag. We should explain that a little. But it's not like they made it illegal for you to fly it.
No, but they did make it so that no government agents, like, you can't fly it on a government property, including in a school.
Right. And the way that they did this was not by singling it out, but by saying that only government flags can be flown.
It doesn't have to be our government. It can be literally any government, as long as it is actually if a state senator is originally from Germany, they could fly the German flag or whatever.
Right.
But here's something delightful. A sort of passing acquaintance that I know posted on Facebook. They found that, and go and Google this, everybody, the flag of Cusco, Peru, is a rainbow with a little Inca face in the middle of it.
Oh,
it is a rainbow flag. The colors are slightly different. There's a light blue in it, but
that's funny.
It's 100% a legitimate rainbow flag and a legitimate flag of a country or of a place, of a municipality. It's legit.
Yeah. Well, my reaction was, well, why doesn't Salt Lake City? Because, I mean, this is targeting Salt Lake City, right? Because Pride's here. We have a large gay population within the city itself, right? We've had, 2 mayors ago was a lesbian woman, right?
Yeah.
Like we're fine on the gay issue in this city, right?
Yeah.
And so just the legislature being shitty toward the one liberal place in the state. They're like, no, you can't fly the pride flag anymore. And that's what all that this was about. And also the schools, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was just like, well, why doesn't the city just adopt the pride flag as the city flag.
As the city flag.
And then just always fly the pride flag.
Yeah.
But apparently they've already, because the fine is it's like $500 or something like that.
Per day.
So they're like, well, during Pride, they've already decided that they're going to allocate the money to just pay the fine because they're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. So the state is not achieving what they wanted to achieve entirely. Like,
right.
Of course, the teachers, I mean, that's an impact, but whatever.
But Cusco flag, if you are a Utah teacher,
that's brilliant.
Get the flag of Cusco.
That's really, really, really
and then
amazing.
teach the kids that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then also, like, you know, if you've got a gay kid that wants to come to you, they might feel a little more safe.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Yeah. So be like, it's the flag of Cusco in Peru. Wink. Wink. All right. Well, we've got some folks to thank. I'm going to start us off. Susan has become a deacon in our holy priesthood. Thank you so much, Susan.
Yes, thank you. And we have a new patron over at Patreon by the name of Jordan. Jordan's a teacher.
Oh, wonderful.
So thank you very much.
That's amazing.
And if you'd like to join these fine people in supporting the show, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate.
That felt painful. That felt hard.
It just took a second. I was trying to figure out what the word was.
So here it is. It's thankgodimatheist.com/donate. And here's the trick. You can do it right now. You can pause the show.
Oh.
You can remember in your mind, thankgodimatheist.com/donate. You can go there right now and sign up and then come back. We'll be here when you get back.
We'll still be here. Look at that. And of course, Dan, we have our top donor to thank. Our Lord and Savior, Davis.
There's more show coming up. Well, Frank,
Dan,
when I went into Google to type in the word Easter, you know how Google has the drop down menu of suggestions of searches you might be trying to get to, just so that you can skip having to type that second word.
Oh, it's the worst.
That pesky second word.
Oh,
the first thing that came up was Eastern. Well, it wasn't the first. It was like the third way down. But it was the first thing that I noticed, which was Easter nails.
Oh yeah.
Which I was like, because my mindset is not where their mindset is. I thought, are they selling like souvenir nails that they drove into Jesus's hands and feet?
Yeah, of course. Of course, that's what it is.
It's fingernails. It's all the cute pastel colors on people's fingernails. That's all.
They make their fingernails look like Easter eggs.
Yeah, they're just they do some speckled. Yeah. They do some things, but yes,
cute. Little bunny face on one, probably.
Oh, who doesn't love that?
Ooh, it's so cute. Easter nails.
Yeah, Easter nails are a thing. It did get me thinking, though. Everything's so bright and so cheerful and so colorful, and that is how Christians celebrate the murder of their Savior
with candy.
And we have, like, it's been a few years since we really talked about this, but I've mentioned on the show before long ago how bizarre it seems to me that the sort of cognitive dissonance that I experienced as a child when there's this, we're celebrating what for all the world feels like a bad thing, which is the murder of Jesus. And the way that we're doing it is like the funnest we can have, like on a Sunday, the most fun you're allowed to have on a Sunday. It's, you dye the Easter eggs the day before or whatever. And then you go on a hunt and there's candy and there's eggs and and it's so much fun.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and there's a big basket of candy in your room. Did you have that one?
No, that was
Easter basket?
I didn't know.
We would have a big Easter basket.
Right.
Right. Big colorful basket with, that green strips of plastic.
Plastic grass.
Plastic
Pretend
grass.
Yeah.
And then there would just be like jelly beans and chocolate things and a big chocolate bunny rabbit. And, and it was just like the most amazing morning in the world. There's candy in my room.
Yeah.
It's like, God, this is amazing.
A magic bunny has delivered unto me free candy.
Yeah. And there's that whole story that you get told, this wonderful giant magical bunny. And it's confusing, but somehow easier to wrap your head around as a child than that, your God was killed and then was came back to life a few days later. Right?
And somehow
God was killed.
And somehow it was all orchestrated by bigger God who loves us and did it on purpose to make us feel good and to save us from something.
And that was the only way, per his own rules, right? Like, this is God. He set up this system, right? The only way for him within the system that he set up to save you from eternal damnation, right, was for him to have his son, and I guess if you're a Trinitarian, himself, murdered on a cross,
right,
so that he could come back to life 3 days later, and that somehow, all of that somehow fulfilled the law, and now you could go to heaven
and have chocolate bunnies
on Easter.
It doesn't.
It was confusing as a child. It's confounding as an adult that this would be like a real belief system, right? It's amazing.
It's all so weird. And then to top it off, I have been in the room. This wasn't, my parents didn't do this, but you have the best morning of your life, other than Christmas.
Right.
You do have to go to church, which kind of sucks, but I was a Mormon, so I had to go to church every week. That was normal. But I suppose for Catholic kids, it's worse because most of them didn't have to go to church every week. But they did that week. But you have this great morning. You eat chocolate. You eat an egg, which you and I communed as we were discussing this over the fact that neither of us likes hard-boiled eggs particularly.
Oh, I do now. As a child, though, it's built up as this amazing thing, Dan.
It's colorful. It is the color of all of the rest of your candy.
Yeah. It was like a project. You dipped the eggs into the dye.
Yeah.
You decorated them.
The buildup.
Someone went out and hid them, and then you go around and you go find them, and you have a dozen of these things that are the most special little prize. You're so excited,
and it is pitched as a treat.
And and at some point in this process, you remember that those are eggs.
I never,
and it's
every year I forgot that I hated hard-boiled eggs until I'd get to it. And then I would dutifully open one up and then eat the whole thing thinking I wasn't actually thinking this, but it felt like at some point this is going to be a treat.
Yeah.
And it never was. And it was always just why have I been tricked again?
Once again,
just like our Lord and Savior on the cross.
Your religious upbringing has once again tricked you.
Failed me. Yeah. So you have the great morning, other than the egg thing, the whole debacle of hard-boiled eggs. You have, you got candy, you've got all this stuff. And then in the evening, you go to church and somebody, you tune out because you're not going to pay attention. And then in the evening, someone puts on The Passion of the Christ or something, and it's a snuff film about their Lord and Savior. It was like I was in the room and there were children. We're talking young children.
Yeah.
And Jesus is being tortured and murdered.
Yeah.
It was not okay. I was like, what is happening?
Right.
But because it's Jesus, they think, well, it must be okay. It's Jesus.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird mixed message bag. I don't know how people feel okay with the messaging
Of Easter. Yeah.
of the celebration of Easter.
Yeah. It's a bummer of a holiday, I have to say. Like,
but it's one of those things also where I was thinking about how like Jewish celebrations clearly lose to like when you're talking about like Passover versus Easter or Hanukkah versus Christmas, like the Jews lose flat out. No, like all the Jewish kids wish that they were the Christian kids on these holidays. But the reason is because the Jewish people are actually like honoring the thing that they're supposed to be honoring.
Right.
They're actually doing something to try and remind themselves of, you know, the Passover, the hardships of, the Exodus that never happened.
Yeah.
So, like, at very least, they're, their traditions aren't fun. It's not fun. So they lose, but at least it honors the thing that it's meant to honor.
Right. Yeah.
A bunny with toys and candy does very little to honor.
Yeah, there's something weird within Christianity that has allowed everything that they do to have like the fun side.
Yeah.
Right? Or else they're just not interested. Right. Like if Easter was essentially a serious, somber thing, it would be as nobody would
never
care.
Celebrate
they
it
would never
again.
celebrate it. They would just be like, oh, right. Like, yeah, it always has to. I mean, like, for crying out loud, Mardi Gras, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
this extension of, the beginning of like, what is it? The beginning of Lent? Is that what it is? It's your big party before Lent starts, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole deal? Like, they always have to figure out some way to like make their religion tolerable.
Yeah,
right?
Nobody talks about Lent. Everybody talks about Carnival.
Yeah.
Like nobody it's Muslims deal like they talk about Ramadan, and Ramadan is hard, and it's an actual month of difficulty, and then they have a feast, but like the feast isn't the event. It's Ramadan that's the event.
Yeah.
Not the Christians. Christians have their month of, their 40 days of whatever. They don't prescribe how you're supposed to suffer, so everybody chooses something relatively easy to give up on. And then, but beforehand, you have a big old party.
Yeah.
Like an insane party. And then afterwards, you have a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something screwy in Christianity.
Well, I think they have it more figured out. I frankly think that what they realized is, the religion part of religion is awful. So let's see how much we can de-emphasize that.
Yeah, but then you just get left with the shell, right? With the fun shell.
Yeah.
The hard, candy shell.
You know what it is?
And the chocolate center has been sucked out. There's nothing.
You know what it is? It's a fucking egg. It's a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah.
It's so pretty.
The whole religion.
The whole religion is a goddamned Easter egg. There are all of these like, they keep dressing it up really fun, but when you get to the middle of it, you're like, whoa, oh god, that's not. No,
it's like, this white part's not so bad. Oh, yolk.
Why are you doing this? You literally just gave me candy. Why did you do this to me? Okay. Well,
or it's the bunny itself, just hollow in the middle.
Just hollow. Oh, you bite into it expecting a
just
wealth
crumbles.
of chocolate, and the whole thing just crumbles, and you realize you had literally like a fraction of the good that you thought you had. We could keep going with this. It's what are those candies that are candy colored on the outside, but they're black licorice flavored, and they're just there to hurt your feelings.
I like
these are
those
all
ones.
Excellent metaphors.
I like those ones. I like the licorice.
Gross. Okay. Well, friends, if you would like to tell us which candy treat you hate, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or possibly you might like the treat. I mean,
Gross.
I hit that aisle at the supermarket. No problem. You can call us, leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Hey, support the show. Go to thankgodimatheist.com/donate.
This episode was edited by Roger Gowdy, and music was provided by the Red Rock Hot Club and Gordon Johnston.
Hey, thanks to all y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2025, all rights reserved.